Serial killer Jeffrey Dahmer was convicted of 16 murders in 1992 and sentenced to 16 consecutive life terms in prison. During their investigation, authorities uncovered the dismembered bodies of Dahmer's victims. Jeffrey Dahmer was arrested on July 22, 1991, when one of his would-be victims escaped. Authorities searched Dahmer's home and found Polaroid photographs of his victims and their dismembered bodies. He confessed to forcing his victims to pose on the table before he killed them, using the same table as a kind of altar. Dahmer's fascination started with animals and then moved to people. And Newsweek reported he later told Dateline NBC that the killing was a means to an end. He said the killings were the least satisfactory part, adding, "I didn't enjoy doing that. It started by trying to create living zombies." Which Dahmer said is what he put uric acid in the drill, to the head, but it never worked. He continued, "No, the killing was not the objective. I just wanted to have the person under my complete control, not having to consider their wishes. Being able to keep them there as long as I wanted." Dahmer was finally discovered after a decade of luring men into his home and killing them when Tracy Edwards was brought to his apartment. Edwards escaped and ran to the police, who promptly returned to Dahmer's residence and arrested him. When authorities arrived on the scene, they discovered a victim's head in the refrigerator and 2 plastic bags in the freezer holding a human heart and male genitalia. Another 5 human skulls were found in the bedroom as well as a complete human skeleton in a drawer, and 3 torsos in a 57-gallon container filled with acid. Edwards told the court during Dahmer's trial in 1992, "He was listening to my heart because he told me at that point he was going to eat my heart." Dahmer confessed to the murders and told Inside Edition, "There was no point in trying to hide my actions anymore. The best route was to help the police identify all of the victims and make a complete confession." Why did Jeffrey Dahmer become a cannibal? Dahmer confessed to eating some of his victims, but his reasoning was jarring. "I had these obsessive desires to wanting to control them, possess them permanently," Dahmer told Inside Edition in 1993. He said his cannibalism grew out of curiosity and was a way to keep his victims with him permanently. But he claimed that over time, his desire grew out of wanting them to feel a part of me. He told the outlet he even snuck a mummified head into the chocolate factory where he worked, saying that is how strong the compulsion was. That is how strong the desire was. I wanted to keep the person with me. Detectives spoke at Dahmer's trial, relaying 60 hours of recorded testimony. Police Detective Dennis Murphy testified that Dahmer admitted to eating a man's muscle because it was big and he wanted to try it, AP News reported. Forensic psychologist Dr. Eric Kiely told A&E, "Cannibals tend to feel really insecure and can't have normal relationships. Eating their victims gives them a sense of power because their victims can never leave." He said their victims' deaths are generally quick. They're not interested in their victims suffering, like Ted Bundy was, he said. But with Dahmer and other cannibals, Kiely said, they're not looking for sadism. They simply want access to the body. Did Jeffrey Dahmer confide in anyone? Dahmer's gained an unlikely friend while in prison in 1993 when he requested to have a priest baptize him. Church leader Roy Ratcliffe was living in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, where Dahmer carried out the murders when he was contacted to perform a baptism on the serial killer. Ratcliffe told the U.S. Sun, "When I first met him I didn't know the grisly details. And I think it was better not to know because it allowed me not to be prejudiced towards him." After learning about Dahmer's past, Ratcliffe said he was surprised at how comfortable he was with him, saying he had expected someone with a rough and harsh exterior. "I was impressed about how courteous he was and how willing he was to be cooperative," Ratcliffe said. As they talked, Dahmer started to share the gruesome aspects of the murders. He confessed to me that he ate a bicep of one of his victims. I knew there was cannibalism in his story, Ratcliffe said. According to Ratcliffe, one of the prison guards once told him that Dahmer would whisper to the guard stationed outside his cell, "I bite." He also had a poster in his cell that read, "Cannibals Anonymous meeting here tonight." It was a means of attracting attention to himself, yet at the same time communicating, "Don't get too close to me, I might hurt you," Ratcliffe said. He said that he and Dahmer became close after their hours of conversations and he thought they would have been friends into their old age. "We think of him as an insane maniac, monster, but he was more human than we give him credit for," Ratcliffe said. "He's like the quote from Shakespeare about being so deep in the blood that you can't get out."